Hello everyone, myself Pavani. I am working as Assistant Professor in CSE AIML department at MLR Institute of Technology. Today I would like to give a session on word sense disambiguation. In previous video we discussed about semantic analysis, and today we discuss word sense disambiguation. So we already discussed ambiguity. It is a meaning of ambiguity and types of ambiguity in previous session. So first, today overview of today's session is how does the semantic analysis work, right? It is already discussed, but this brief overview of the will discuss. So introduction to word sense disambiguation and fundamental tasks for the word sense disambiguation, and why the WSD is important and where it is needed, that why is it is needed, and approaches and methods of the WSD, applications of WSD. So coming to the first one, so how does semantic analysis will work, right? So this is a process flow of the semantic analysis will work. So coming to the first one, data. That means we have to collect the data from different sources like documentation, that means documents, otherwise some data sets, some database, some user input. Like this we can collect the data from the some different sources. Then after collecting the data we have to process the data. That means we have to remove some stop words. That means we have to clean the data. After remove the first tokenization. After tokenization we have to remove the stop words. After stop words we have to do the stemming and lemmatization process. This is the overall data processing. That means after collecting the words data we have to clean the data. That means we have to remove the unwanted data like this stop words, find out the root word. After data processing we have to define the features and stats. That means in the sentence find out the persons or named recognitions, that means NER, and places like this. That means we have to find out the features of that particular document. That means data. Next, after finding the features, next we have to find out the data representation. That means after finding the structured data, we have to find out the probabilities. That means we all discussed how to find out probabilities in vectorization, right? In TF, IDF, term frequency, inverse document frequency, bag of words. Like this we can find out the probability. That means we have to represent the data in a structured format. That means trees, graphs. This is the data representation. After data representation we have to find out that means we have to define the grammar. That means after find out the tree we have to apply the grammatical, that means syntactical rules. So after this, assess the semantic layer. That means we have to find out the meaning of the documented data. Finally perform the semantic analysis. This is the overall how the semantic analysis will work, right? Next, coming to the word sense disambiguation. So what is the exact meaning of word sense disambiguation? It is a process of identify the correct meaning of a word. That means we have to identify the exact meaning of the word in a given context, especially when the word has a multiple meanings. Whenever a sentence has multiple meanings, we have to find out the correct meaning of the word. This is the meaning of word sense. Then only we can solve the word sense ambiguity situation. So here some methods are there. First one, selection restriction based word sense disambiguation. Within the name itself is there selection restriction. That means we have to use the semantic constraints to restrict the meaning of the words based on the selection and word meaning. That means what type of words can occur. That means logical interpretation based on the context. Let's see the example here. The institute will employ new employees. Here employee means to hire. That means employee means the HR manager will recruit the employees. That means we call it as a hiring processor. processor we called as a employee. Here employees are humans. This makes a sense. That means this sentence we have to find out the meaning of the sentence. Then only we can resolve the word sense disambiguation situation, right? So next, see the second example. The committee employed her proposal. Here the committee employed. Here employ means to use because proposal is an idea, not a person. Here employee means that means depends on the sentence situation. We can analyze that meaning of the sentence. That means surroundings, based on surroundings we can analyze the sentence. These constraints disambiguate the word employee depending on the object it is associated with it. That means we have to find out the disambiguate based on the surrounding of the word. This is the meaning of selection restriction based on the word sense disambiguation. Coming to the second one, prepositional phrase. That means we have to select, that means how to do a sentence for the prepositional phrase. Like already we discussed in previous sessions, a prepositional phrase, right? So here what is sentence? The sentence with the help of telescope is the prepositional phrase. That means, see the example, the man saw the bird with the telescope. Here let's see what is the meaning. The man used the telescope to see the bird, not that the bird had a telescope. This is the meaning of the sentence. That means the meaning of sentence of surrounding text. Next, but the man saw the girl with the telescope. Here the grammatically correct but ambiguous. This sentence we discussed in previous video. So see here, this is the ambiguity sentence. The man saw the girl with the telescope. Here it could mean used a telescope to see the girl, or the girl had the telescope. This is the ambiguity situation. To resolve this, we have to find out the surrounding of the text like this. Let's see the next third one, rule to rule strategy in parsing. Let's see, that means we have to follow rule based approach. That means break down the sentence. That means we have to use the selection restrictions and violates any semantic rule. It is blocked from the further processing. This approach helps to avoid the incorrect interpretations early in a sentence. Suppose we have to find out any incorrect sentences, it automatically stop the process. This is the rule to rule. That means we have to specify a sentence step by step rule process. Next, let's see the fundamental tasks of the word sense disambiguation. So already we discussed the definition of the word WSD, right? It's the process of identifying which sense of a word used in a given context. When the word has multiple possible meanings, it is called as a polysemy. That means when a word has a multiple meanings, it is called as a polysemy. It is a fundamental problem in a computational linguistics, that means scientific language and natural language processing, because many words in language like English are ambiguous and their meanings can only be determined by the surrounding of the context. This is the exact meaning of the word sense disambiguation. Let's see the fundamental tasks. First one, word sense identification. First, we have to find out the sense or word sense and identification. That means surrounding of the word. Next, after that, uses of the external knowledge source. That means we have to find out the external knowledge means we are using some WordNet database. Means after finding the sense, we have to collect the data from the WordNet database. It contains the different type of words. Next, we have to find out the sense annotation. That means sense annotation with data. We have to based on the rules. Next, selection of appropriate method. To find out the word sense disambiguation sentence, you have to follow some appropriate method. Let's see step by step process. So first, why the WSD is important, right? Many words have multiple meanings and their correct interpretation depends on the context which they appear. Let's see the example here. Bank. Bank means financial bank or river bank. See here the example based on the situation, that means sentence surroundings, we can conclude that it is which bank it is. It is river bank or financial bank. Let's see the example. I went to the bank to deposit money. This is a meaningful sentence. That means here we can declare bank it is a financial. Let's see the another sentence. The side of a river. See the example. He walked along the river bank. That means some person walked around the river bank. That means here bank refers to the river. This is the surrounding text of the WSD. So let's see, in order for machines to properly understand the process human language, some examples are translation search engines, some chatbots. They need to be able to distinguish between the different sense of a word in a given context. By using the translation mechanism, search engines mechanism, chatbot mechanism, we can find out the which type of sentence, which type of word it is. That means we have to find out the surrounding of the text. Based on the given context. This is the meaning of the why WSD is important. Let's see why WSD is needed, right? To enhance the natural language understanding. That means user can understand the words based on the surrounding text. That means it improves the machine ability to human language, resulting in the better interaction to the understanding between the human and machines. That means it will useful for the human to machine to understand the language. Next, boosting language processing efficiency. That means whenever we are using WSD, it improves the efficiency of the process, right? Here, it helps computers quickly determine the correct contextual meaning. That means we have to find out the exact meaning of the sentence. Enhancing the effectiveness of the, whenever we have to find out the exact meaning of sentence, it automatically enhances the effectiveness. Next, see the uplifting user experience. AI-powered applications, WSD drives the enhanced user experience by leveraging the correct meanings. By using the WSD, we can find out the correct meanings based on the surrounding context. Providing more accurate results and relevant content does meet the user expectations. So, automatically we will get the situation, the user automatically will get the result. So, next, reducing ambiguity in communication. Whenever we are communicating with one language to another language, WSD helps identify intent meaning and reducing the ambiguity and forecasting clear communication between the some user to user. Here, reducing the ambiguity. Here we can solve the ambiguity challenge in the WSD. That means ambiguity means creates a confusion. By using the surrounding test, we can conclude the sentence, the meaning of the sentence. Next, fine tuning AI-based solutions. So, because of these language translation tools, that means voice assistants, ensuring delivery of a more reliable, context-aware responses. These are all comes under the why the WSD needed. So, these so many technologies we can use the WSD. Next, see the approaches and methods of the WSD. Here there are 4 types of methods: supervised methods, unsupervised methods, and next dictionary based methods are next. Coming to the first one, supervised learning method. So what is the meaning of here supervised learning method? It is some classification problem to classify the some data and by using the label data set. That means here the data set contains examples of words in a context with their correct sense. That means, for example, wordnet. Wordnet contains the different words. So by using words, we can use in our sentence, and the model uses this example to learn how to disambiguate the word in a unseen context. That means here how the process will do in supervised learning is based on the step-by-step procedure. Let's see. The first one, use a training corpus. Its corpus means data set. That means we have to train the data set with some words in their correct sense. That means we have to train the sentences in a correct manner. So extract the contextual features like neighboring words, PO. That means we have to apply the POS tags and neighboring words. That means stemming, lemmatization, all the process will do, right? Features we discussed in the semantic analysis, right? After extracting the contextual features, next train a machine learning classifier. That means we after this finding the data, that means collecting the data. After collecting the data pre-processing done. That means we have to find out the words. After find out the parts of speech, then we have to find out the graphs. That means structured data, trees, by using the vector machines. That means TF, IDF, and bag of words and word to word embeddings. some neural networks. So after finding the machine learning classifier, then apply the trained model to new unseen text to predict the sense of the ambiguous words. That means after applying the training the model, we have to see the unambiguous, that means WSD sentences to resolve the ambiguity. So here we are facing some challenges. What is the first one? It requires a large. That means whenever we are creating a data sets, means it requires a large data set. That means annotated corpus. It means corpus means data set, data which is time consuming and expensive to create. That means we have to find out the all related context and expensive to create. That means cost expensive. So performance is dependent on the quality of the labeled data. Is based on the quality the data will be retrieved, right? Coming to second one, unsupervised learning. Here unsupervised learning means do not trust on a labeled data. It means so supervised learning depends on the labeled data set. Unsupervised learning will not depends on the labeled data. This is a quite opposite of the supervised and unsupervised learning. Instead of here we are find out the by using clusters, that means grouping of text. Cluster means grouping of text. Instance of ambiguous words based on the contextual similarity. That means similar uses to word together. That means by grouping the clusters together, words together, these clusters can then map to specific sense. After grouping the clusters, we can use these clusters as a specific sense of the words. How to do? Let's see the procedure. First, find out identify the occurrence of the word in different contexts. That means how the word occur in different type of context. Then group the words. After find out the context, that means identify the context, then extract the features from the surrounding context. That means after find out the context, we can extract the features. That means we can find out that means POS, place, name, like this nearby words. So we can frame the structured data, unstructured data we can frame by using the surrounding context. After finding the surrounding context, let's use the clustering algorithms. We have to use some algorithms to find out the probabilities of the particular structure. That means tree maps. Here suppose for example K means, assume each cluster correspond to different sense of the word. So we have to assume like that each cluster correspond to the different sense of the word or not. Next, we are facing some challenges. The system often does not know what sense each cluster correspond to. That means here we are facing one problem, right? Here the system do not trust the labeled data. Whenever we are not trusting the labeled data, the cluster correspond to, that means the sense. We are out of sense, right? We cannot find out the sense of the word. This is the one drawback in unsupervised learning. Let's see here, less accurate than supervised approaches, because here we are depending on the labeled data, right? It means here accuracy is more, right? Performance depend on the quality of the labeled data. Somewhat accuracy is more compared to unsupervised learning. Here accuracy is less accurate than supervised approaches, since there is no explicit sense information during the training. That means there is no sense in the whenever we are training the model, there is no sense between the information. That means the sense between the data. That means sentence. Here next one, dictionary based. That means some data set. Here we are using dictionary based learning. The first here, these methods rely on pre-existing lexical sources, right? Resources like WordNet, FrameNet. We are using already specified some data sets like FrameNet, WordNet. This contains some words related to the surrounding of the text. So we are not developing here any data sets. By already developed data sets we are using WordNet and some disambiguate words or some FrameNet. Here, instead of training a labeled corpus, they use structure of knowledge sources like WordNet, CNETs and semantic relations to match a word to its correct sense. In this dictionary base, we are not using any labeled data sets. By default, here you are using the lexical resources like WordNet. In next videos, we will discuss about the lexical resources, FrameNet, WordNet. These are all concept, very important concept. Instead of here, we are using the labeled corpus. Instead of we are using WordNet and some disambiguate words. So how the process will go, right? Let's see. Use a resource like WordNet which defines the possible sense of each word. That means that the WordNet contains the words defines the sense of the each word. So analyze the context of the ambiguous words in a sentence. The ambiguity means creates a confusion, right? Based depending on the sense, we can analyze find out the ambiguity of the word in context. So compare the context to definitions or examples provided for each sense in a WordNet. So we can compare the context to the WordNet words, right? So choose the sense of the most similar word in a context. So see the challenges we are facing here. Here depend on the some coverage. That means here depend on the some FrameNet, WordNet. Here we are not developing any data sets here. We are depending on the FrameNet and WordNet or disambiguate words methods, right? Lexical resources. Limited to sense provided in the WordNet or other similar resources which may not cover all possible sense in a real world text. Let's see the challenge here. The WordNet FrameNet contains a limited words, right? We cannot add, we cannot update, or we cannot take from any other words. Here, there is no possibility of the all senses in a real world text. That means it may not cover all the possibility of the words. This is the one drawback in a dictionary based approach. Next, last one, hybrid approach. What is the meaning of hybrid approach? It is a combination of both supervised and unsupervised and knowledge based methods to improve the performance. Hybrid means within the name itself, it is an advanced approach, right? So by using all these three methods, we can improve the performance in hybrid approach. For example, a system might use a WordNet for initial sense identification and ML model to tune the prediction based on the specific context. This is an example how the hybrid approach will go, right? Let's see some challenges here. So first one, ambiguity in context. So already we know that ambiguity means some context provide very little information, making it difficult to disambiguate the sense of the word. This is the ambiguity of the context. Next, domain specific senses. Word sense vary depending on the domain. Example, network. In network means in computer science, network different means biology, network word different. Based on the sense, we can use the word. Limited and data. This here supervised method requires the large data sets which are costly to produce. Here we discussed already, right? Here we are using the large data sets. It is a cost expensive. This is the one of the challenge in WSD. Evaluation. Here evaluation requires some data sets. That means creating so whenever we are creating data sets, the time consuming is very important. This is the one of the drawback. So let's see the example in WSD. So consider the sentence: the fisherman sat on the bank and cast his line into the water. See the sentence here: the fisherman sat on the bank and cast his line to the water. Here bank means what? Financial or river bank. Based on the surrounding context, we can analyze that this is a word is a river bank. Let's see. Look at the context here. Fisherman cast his line to water and infer that the word bank here refers to the inside of the river, not a financial institution. So based on the context, we can we can analyze the word bank. This is the river bank. So here we are overcoming the ambiguity situation by using the word sense disambiguation. That means the word contain multiple meanings. Based on the surrounding context, we can find out the meaning of that word. Let's see the applications of the WSD. Here 4 applications are there: machine translation, information retrieval, text information extraction and text mining, and lexicography. Here let's see the first one, machine translation. So what is the meaning of machine translation? We all discussed, right, in previous sessions. What is the meaning of machine translate? To translate the source language to target language based on the words. That means polysemy means multiple meanings. Then next see the information retrieval. To improve such results by understanding the meaning of ambiguous terms in queries. Information means we can retrieve the information for understanding of the ambiguity in terms in queries. By in a query manner, we can give the instructions to the database. So next one, text summarization. We can summarize the text. That means understanding, after summarizing only we can understand the terms in a text. Let's see the last one, speech recognition. What is the meaning of here speech recognition? The difference between the homophones and based on the context. That means what the user speaking about the words. That means sound of the word. Whenever the phonology means sound of the word, what the user speaks. Sometimes the sound may be same, but the word sentence is different. That is, spelling is different. This is the meaning of speech recognition. This is all about the today's session. So what we discussed, right? Here, how does semantic analysis work? An introduction to the WSD and fundamental tasks of what we are using in WSD and why the WSD is important and why it is needed, and approaches and methods of the WSD in supervised learning method, unsupervised learning method, and hybrid method, and knowledge based method, that means dictionary based method. So let's see finally applications of the WSD. These are all the concepts we covered in this session. Thank you.